Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Rudolph, and this is episode 113. Gets crazy every time I update what episode we're on because it feels like I started this thing yesterday. Thank you to everybody tuning in, especially those of you that are choosing the Jackson Rudolph Podcast over Thursday Night Football, where I need the Steelers to dominate on defense tonight because they're on my fantasy team. Aidan, I don't know if you knew this, but we have a sport karate. Well, there's a sport karate fantasy thing that's going on that you probably didn't know about, but that's super dope. But we also have like me and some of the other podcast hosts and some of like the top fans of those podcasts. We actually have a fantasy football league together. It's got like me, Jeff Doss, Alex Dingman, Angel Diaz, like a whole squad of us is up in there. So yeah, I've got the Steelers. And a lot of people, this is the perfect way to introduce Aidan. So once upon a time, Team Paul Mitchell Karate did a fantasy football league. We did it for 1 year, and Aidan Considine is the only winner of that fantasy football league. Fun fact. And you have the trophy to show for it, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, we got to get your hands on that trophy.
Coach Steve Babcock still has that. And he was supposed to bring it, or I think someone was supposed to bring it to a tournament, and I just never got it. But
okay. We got to follow up on that because it's a really cool trophy. It was
like a cool trophy.
It's like an old, like back in the 90s, like a team MVP trophy or something like that. That was just like never given out. Yeah. So it'd be super dope if you got that. But now I'll get to my formal introduction. The man on the screen is none other than Team Paul Mitchell member Aidan Considine. He is an adrenaline pro athlete, and he's got a ton of accolades over the course of his career that we're going to talk about. And in the caption for this episode, I mentioned that he's one of the great personalities in sport karate. And I mean it when I say that. Like this dude, he's just a fun guy. Like there's no other way to put it. Skinny A, gonna rip your eyeballs out. We'll get into that story too. So yeah, that's the vibes for this episode. I've known Aidan since he was like basically a fetus. So this is going to be a chill vibes karate talk podcast. As always, if you guys tuning in live have questions, make sure you drop those in the comments. I've got the comments pulled up. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in there. But Aidan, let's just get started, man. First off, for our Black Belt Magazine audience that maybe isn't as familiar with sport martial arts, they haven't seen you before, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit. And then also carry that into, what are you doing right now, man? Give us some updates.
So, I mean, for my little introduction for Black Belt Magazine, I am Aidan Considine. I don't even know how many time world champion. I think it's around the 16-17 range. 16-17 time world champion. Forms of weapons, count sync also, so maybe add a couple more in there. But
more than a couple if we count sync.
More than a couple, I would say, but yeah. If you want to add those in. But yeah, I think if you guys who don't know me, I haven't competed since 2020. Compete nationals or Irish Open, whichever one you want to pick as my last one. That was the last time I competed, and then COVID obviously happened. I started college. I've just been really, really busy, honestly. Like I haven't been training as much, and my big thing is that if I were to compete again, I'm not gonna but it to be, PG, but I'm not gonna go in just trying to go for points or anything like that anymore. I'm just trying to show everybody why I'm still competing, why I want to compete, and just do some crazy forms, because I unfortunately didn't get to do a lot of cool stuff that I wanted in 2020, but doesn't mean that hasn't been in my head all this time.
That's awesome. And I love that perspective because I feel like it's so easy for young competitors to get caught up in that. Like once you reach the highest level, I can't remember the last time I knew what my NASCA points were. Like once you get to a certain point, it's just not about that. Like it's not about trying to collect points and get the NASCA World Championship. And don't get me wrong, like people often criticize the NASCA World Championship because it's a North American tour, not a world tour. So how do you call it a world championship? Mm-hmm. People criticize it because if you just go to more events, you can win it. I get that. Like I get the criticisms that people get. But really and truthfully, the NASCA circuit has the best forms and weapons talent of any sport karate circuit in the world. I'm not saying that it's not a huge deal to become a NASCA world champion, because it is a huge deal. But I think that what you put so beautifully there, Aidan, and so correctly, was that once you get to a certain point, it just ain't about that anymore. You're about going out there and trying to be remembered, trying to create a legacy. When we had Matt on the show several weeks ago, that's one of the things we talked about, is that how Matt, your mentor, would just go out there and do forms just to see what kind of crazy stuff he could do, sometimes making it up on the spot, right?
Yep. I was just about to say that he would freestyle some forms at that point. He was just like, you know what? I'm just going to put this song on and see what happens. And that's what literally would happen. I think one of my favorite forms of Matt was Guatemala, if you remember that form.
Yeah, that was a dope form.
But that, you know, it's not an NASCAR tournament. It's not anything like that. It's performance. He put on headlines or something like that from Drake and just went off. Like, it was so cool, though. But like, I'm referencing my dad. I gotta give my dad a quick shout out. He also misses you very much and hopes everything's going well. But he always got to this point of, like, you know, when he was training with me, or he's, you know, watching me train, he's like, you got to realize that Jackson, you know, you, Matt, Calman, Rudy, all these people at this point in their level, they are doing their forms for the audience because it could be their first time ever seeing you. You do your form so many times and everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's boring because we see Jax on stage all the time. Well, this could be the first time someone's ever seen you on stage. First time anyone's ever seen me on stage. And that's a first perspective on somebody else. So, and like, oh my God, I've never seen Jackson Rudolph perform live. Well, look at this. It's your first time. Like, some people don't have that luxury anymore, unfortunately, but it was a pretty cool time. It was a really, really cool time.
Exactly. And that's great perspective, man. I also want to give a shout out. We got Amanda Duarte in the comments. Thank you for tuning in, Amanda. Amanda just won one of our giveaways on the Team Paul Mitchell page for a free Team Paul Mitchell t-shirt, which is crazy. Like, that's never happened ever, trying to get free Team Paul Mitchell t-shirts. Exactly. So, hey, if y'all aren't following the Team Paul Mitchell Karate Instagram and Facebook, make sure you go find it, but not to this podcast.
It's in my bio, guys. It's in my bio if you ever need it.
Us. All right, cool. So, Aidan, I want to move on. So you mentioned being in college. You're actually like right up the road from me, right? You're at Loyola here in Maryland. So congratulations on that. And how's that going for you? What are you studying? Like, what are the college vibes like?
Yeah, so I'm in my junior year, which is pretty gross to think about right now. I'm 20 years old, so that's gross too. But I'm studying business management. I haven't decided minor yet, but it'd probably be marketing. But yeah, I'm just trying to, figure out what I want to do after, school also, because karate is always going to be there. And I also want to, just expand on that at some point, figure out a way to incorporate karate into what I want to do business-wise. A lot of people have said, start your own school, but I've worked at a school for a really, really long time. I love Bustos. I love everything about it. It's just, I don't know if I could personally do it and be the owner of the school, Like, I teach a bunch of classes and I love teaching my classes, and that's one of my favorite things to do. But I just haven't decided exactly what I want to do yet after school. But that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Hey, that's the life of a junior in college. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of juniors in college that are like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm in college. I'm doing good things, but we'll figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a terrible stigma against people who haven't figured it out yet. When it's like I'm in medical school right now, so I know that I'm going to be a doctor, and I know that I've wanted to be a neurosurgeon for a long time, but I don't really know what I want to do until I get into the hospital and do it, which for me starts in January, right? Yeah. And so for you, it's part of that. Like, once you graduate, you get out into the world and you figure out what that calling is. And one thing that I preach about all the time, especially on this show, is there's so many ways to make a living through martial arts other than owning a school. If you want to own a school, awesome. That's a great thing to do. But there's so many other ways to make a living off of the martial arts, especially with sport karate. I think that as sport karate continues to grow, I think that there's going to be more and more opportunities within the sport to kind of create a livelihood for people. And that's one of my whole mission statements in working with Black Belt Magazine, working with Century, doing this podcast, among other things, is to make sport martial arts a field in which people can make a living and not just a means to go somewhere else, not just something to look good on your college application, not just to help you get into stunts, right? But to actually be something where you could just stay in the sport martial arts space and make a living off of that, right? And I think there's a lot of value there. And Aidan, as we get back into sport martial arts, so we touched on the fact that you haven't been competing, you haven't stopped competing, but you haven't been competing, been adjusting to college. There was that little pandemic thing that happened, right?
Well, but little things,
Exactly. But one place that you have stayed active is doing some of the Adrenaline Worldwide events, right? Mm-hmm. You're an Adrenaline Pro athlete. You were just at their big Adrenaline World Games, right? And you were competing in that. Unfortunately, you suffered an injury. So before we get into any of that stuff, first, how's the injury, man? What happened and how's that recovery going?
So it wasn't at, I wasn't in Vegas while it happened. It happened the week before. The week before, I'm prepping my battle versus Alex. Shout out Alex Mancias, repping. But yeah, so I was literally just working my combos. I was working it before one of my classes that I was teaching, was just going through my combos, and it was like on a backwards swing. So I was like going here, I would do, the term better than I do, behind my back, throw, catch here.
An orbiter.
Swing from there, right? But I was like going this way, and I went a little too fast, I guess, or like a little different direction. I don't know what it was, but so I dislocated my shoulder, and I have a tear in my labrum also. So it's not exactly as bad as what Danny did back in competes, but it's the same kind of injury. I think his was more like going forwards, but mine's like the anterior part of my shoulder. So I've just been working PT. I did a month of physical therapy before I left because it happened like the end of July. So then I went to Vegas. Still want to support the event because we've been prepping for this since 2020. And I would have been really upset if I missed the event because it was really, really awesome to see everybody again and just to watch everyone.
Yeah, I hated having to miss it, man. I was supposed to be there, so I was going to go out and commentate. But I had like some mandatory military medical school stuff that I like had to be there to do. I think it was exams. Yeah, exams are kind of important, right?
They're kind of important, yeah.
I would have loved to have been there. But hey, McGuire, Adrenaline fans out there, next time you got me on the mic because I would absolutely love to call that.
No, it was a blast.
By the way, podcast fans, stay tuned because there is another Jackson commentating announcement coming soon. But anyway,
I like that.
May or may not be virtual fight tour related. But Aidan, go ahead. What were you saying?
What was I gonna say? I just really wanted to be up there competing, man, because like it was just a great experience for everybody. Like you went up there and you just like, it feels like you're on stage by yourself competing at a NASCAR event, right? Like, and you have like all these people, in the crowd, and you're going against one person, 1v1s, all this stuff. But when you're doing it and you're facing the crowd, it's just like you're doing another NASCAR tournament, man. Like I wish I was up there doing it, but I mean, shout out Philip Brumet who stepped in, won the prelim battles. He had to win the prelim battles on Friday, win all 3 or 2 of his battles. I forget which one. And then he had to go against Alex. So shout out to him. Did a great job. Did a great performance. But yeah, hopefully next event I can do some more weapon stuff. I can be involved. I also want to do tricking too. Okay. I've been like looking through some of my videos tricking wise, and I'm like, wow, I could have been really good if I just like trained tricking like as much as I trained like karate, like because you have all these tournaments and then you like figure out some tricks that are cool and you add them to your form, but then that's all you do is like you add that trick and that's all you focus on, and then you stop tricking as much. Me and Danny were talking about this all the time, man. It was just so frustrating not to train tricking as much as like CMX stuff. But I mean, so I have a lot of stuff that I want to do. I just need to get this healed up first, and then we can go from there.
Absolutely. And we all wish you the best in that recovery and hope that it gets well soon. And yeah, you bring up Philip. I saw some of his footage. Philip, I mean, that kid's talent level is absolutely insane. He crushed it at Adrenaline. And, now we got to look at the landscape of that Adrenaline weapons division, right? So you got Anthony taking the belt, right? So the history of that, the recent history of that belt, right?
Yes.
Cole had the belt, Cole Presley. Cole Presley vacated because he wasn't going to be battling much anymore. Who knows if he'll come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Cole Presley on the podcast soon too.
We got to get Cole.
Stay tuned for that. So Cole vacates the belt. Then you get it wasn't interim because Cole just vacated it, right? So it's full.
Yeah, so it was the title match was Mason and Anthony.
Mason and Anthony. Anthony gets it. So Anthony Diamores is your title holder right now.
Yes.
You step out with injury. Philip beats Alex. So when you look at this division, what kind of matchup are you trying to get next, and how do you see your path to a title shot in weapons?
That's a great question, Jackson. You know what? Honestly, I'm cool with whatever because I haven't really proven anything. I haven't proven much at all in terms of that stuff. What's up, Colin? How are you, buddy? Yeah, I have 5 other roommates that I'm living with this year.
That's a lot of roommates. That sounds like college, man.
We got 6 of us in here. It's a good time though. But yeah.
So what matchups do you like, right? Because like you admit, right? Like title shot's not the next matchup.
No
but
shot.
Do you see yourself like? Do you take Alex coming off the L? Would you like to go and have a shot at Philip, who got the dub? Like, what is? And I mean, this isn't call outs. This is just you saying like, hey, I'd love to battle this guy.
Yeah, I would definitely say before my title match with Anthony, I would like to do the battle with Alex first, because that was, anticipated for a little bit, and I wanted to do that for sure. I definitely wanted to, it's good Paul Mitchell, rivalry in between the, inter team rivalry stuff, which is always good. It's always good to have that little spark. But I like that first, and then again, I haven't proved anything in this World Games set yet, right? If you want to go to like the Raw battles and some other stuff that we did before Adrenaline got really, really big, then I have some like a decent record, I guess. But yeah, I think I would say Alex first, and then.
Well, and I think that creates the right path too. Like if I'm the matchmaker, that makes sense, right? You get the you and Alex battle. And then in addition, so Philip's coming off the dub. So maybe you go Philip against Mason. So Mason coming off the loss for the title.
I was thinking that as well, because I didn't want to mention
Anthony. Like if Anthony's got a grudge match that he wants, let him go get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I have some battles against Anthony too that I very much underperformed in. I feel I was not as prepared as I should have been or felt I could have been. It's also because I broke 2 bows that day, which kind of sucked. It was me and Anthony was battling at like later that night, and I was just going through my combos, and I broke 3 bows. No, I brought 2 bows. I brought only 2 bows, and I broke both of the bows. So I had to borrow someone's, I think Dario's staff. I borrowed Dario's staff from All Stars, and yeah, I think I competed with that. But I also, just feel like me and him could definitely have a great battle.
For sure.
I would also like to go against Mason. I like all of those options, because Mason, I don't think I've ever competed against Mason. And when we were, back in that time before the World Games and stuff like that, like he was a little bit younger than me. And now I feel like he's still younger than me, obviously, but like, I feel like our heights are pretty much closer too, so it wouldn't be like that big old difference. I saw him recently at Adrenaline; he's shot up, so I think that'd be a nicer older matchup too, or to see nice NASCAR progression matchup, you could say. But yeah, I'm cool with anything, honestly. I also just really want to be put in. I want to trick also. I really want to trick. I want to do both weapons tricking. I want to do 2-on-2s. Me and Danny want to run 2-on-2s. I want to do everything.
Oh, that'd be hype.
That's what we were talking about, but I don't know if Daniel's do. I don't know. We have to figure it out first. We have to figure it out. I don't want to put anything into anyone's heads yet.
Right. Well, and that's the great thing about the Adrenaline landscape right now, is that there's so many interesting matchups to be made. I know that in tricking, the big thing that I saw on social media was everybody wanting Mike Shosei next, right?
I did
the obvious battle.
I would have loved that too, but you can't just give that. You can't just give that right out. On the first time we have the events, we can't just give you Mike and Shosei.
Exactly. There's got to be a build up to Mike and Shosei.
Yeah. I mean, Mike. Anyway. It was obviously Mike and Boyang will happen. It will happen. That will be awesome. And then we missed Alexander Anderson too. That was Shosei's battle.
I was about to say that needs to be on the next card. You got to do Guthrie's title defense against Boyang and get Boyang over here, and then you also probably the co-main should be Shosei and Alexander Anderson.
That's what it was. That's what it was. We prepped it for.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what the card was. That wasn't very original of me, I guess.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly right. We wanted all of that first. Winners go against each other, losers go against each other. I think would be great.
Cool. Anyway, so moving on from Adrenaline, we got a shout out in the comments. One of your newer teammates, Samuel Diaz III. Good to see you, bro. Aidan Considine, go get that title. He wants to see you go get that Adrenaline championship belt. Yeah. But now let's move on to some sport karate, man, because Adrenaline's like in the tricking space related to sport karate, but it's tricking, right? So now let's talk sport karate. So first and foremost, how much have you been keeping up? Like, do you tune into the live streams? Do you see what some of the top guys out there right now are doing?
I will be honest, and I will say, like, I don't watch every live stream, but I obviously see people, what they post on Instagram and social media, see if they post, their forms from the tournament. But at this point, I really don't even know some people, like, what divisions they're in, because, like,
you gotta start scouting, man. Come on.
Huh?
You gotta start scouting, man.
No. I mean, I know, but it's just like I don't know how, like, if they just got into the division or if they just, like, I know Salif still, like, I feel like he's 12 still, but he's like 18, 19 years old.
He's fully grown, bro.
He's a fully grown, like, he's a man. And, like, there's just a lot of people like that, that it's kind of scary that they're in the adult division. But I watched the U.S. Open. I watched the daytime. I didn't watch the nighttime show, actually. I was busy that night. But yeah, I watched here and there, and I obviously see people what they post on social media. But I keep up with my Paul Mitchell teammates, though. I always got to keep up with them. I see. I mean, new additions have been going off lately, and Ben's been doing a lot of good stuff too. I've been seeing, Ben's been traveling a lot. He's been doing all those fun summer, teaching seminars that we used to do back in the day, right, Jackson?
Yep.
He's getting going with that, so that's good to see. But yeah, shout out all the new additions to the Paul Mitchell. Who we got? We got Ben, Esteban, Sam, Mr. Diaz, Haley, Wait, did I say
Haley's not one of the newer ones. So Haley,
no, I know.
Haley's one of the vets now, right?
I know. I mean, if you consider, but see, that's how long I haven't been around, that Haley is still considered, like, kind of new to me.
Right. But yeah, the 6 new ones are
and then Isabella,
Avery,
yes,
Esteban, Ben, Dawson, Sam are the 6
Dawson,
and they all got put on, like, same.
Saw Dawson's full snafu earlier today. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was gnarly. I saw that.
That was beautiful.
Cool. All right, so now the next big thing is we've been talking about, like, what might happen. We've been talking about what's going on, right? But I want to make sure that people tuning into this that don't know the story of Aidan Considine, I want to make sure the story of Aidan Considine gets told, right?
Cool.
So give us, like, maybe your 2 or 3 moments, right? What are those big career highlights that you're most proud of up to this point?
It's one of the ones that we will talk about probably more in depth, but my first ever tournament, I was on Pro Rank National. Wasn't even in real Pro Rank yet. I was on the Pro Rank National team because I competed on
Pro
the
Rank Light.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, B team. I was B teams my first start, but no, I competed for Bustos when I was as an underbelt, and then I worked with Matt as a kid when I first started getting into NASCA. I worked with Sammy a lot because Sammy went to Bustos with me, so that's how she got me into it. And then my instructor was like, "Oh yeah, let's go to the Amerikick 2009." I saw Manny Brown kicking. It was a tricking. I forget what it was, but it was like the craziest trick or something like that. He did round off, and it was the highest flat you could ever seen on, like, the carpet. Like, bro, what is this?
That is crazy.
So I was blown away by that. Kept on doing it. My first ever tournament, I was 8 years old, in Chicago, aka Grand Nationals, and I didn't win any of my weapons divisions, but I had a clean sweep in all my forms divisions that first time. And I was competing against Danny, Jalen Carr, Josh Kitterman, all these guys who have been in the division for a little bit more than I have of one tournament. But it was just really, really cool. And then I forget, someone else was in the 12-13 division that I beat. I don't know if it was, I don't know who I beat in the runoff.
Well, because here's what's crazy. So I'll give the people the context, right?
Yeah,
so anybody that follows sport karate, like anybody that follows sport karate knows, like, you pay your dues, right? Like, you start competing and you travel the circuit. And typically when you start, you're not very good anyway. So it's not a politics thing. No. You just lose because you're not good, because you're just getting started, right? Yeah. And it takes time for you to get good and to get noticed and then to actually win. And then you make it to runoffs. And then you make it to runoffs for like a year before you ever win your first runoff, and then you're on stage, right?
1 second. My mom's watching right now, and she just texted me, "You beat Cody Sanders in the runoff." That's who it was.
Your mom's got the facts, bro.
She knows it. I was gonna say Pinto, but Pinto was older. I think Pinto was in the 1450.
Yeah, because Pinto's older than me, so he would have had to have been.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, it was Cody.
That's dope.
Sorry.
But anyway, so like it typically takes like a year of getting into runoffs to actually get on stage. Okay. This man showed up to one tournament as a black belt NASCA competitor. Shows up to the AKA Grand Nationals, which probably makes him feel old because now it's called the AKA Warrior Cup. Dude shows up to the AKA Grand Nationals, wins all of his forms divisions, which is just dumb, and then goes to the runoffs and wins the runoff against formidable competition, including Team AKA members on home turf, right? Goes and wins the runoff and makes it on stage in his first ever tournament. So like the ridiculousness of that happening, I don't know that I've ever seen it from anyone else. I've seen people make runoffs in their first tournament. Actually, I saw it happen. It happened 2021 Battle of Atlanta. Angel Perez in traditional forms because he'd been doing the sportmartialarts.com virtual tour.
Okay.
So he came to NASCA because he like learned about NASCA from the SMA.com virtual tour.
That's awesome.
And he showed up to the Battle of Atlanta and won the overall. With traditional forms, went all the way up through everything in his first like NASCA tournament. I think he came from Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken.
Good for him.
But what's crazy is to like talk about your accomplishment. Mm-hmm. The first person I thought of when he won that overall, because I was on the mic that night, was you. Because you were the only other person that I'd ever seen make it that far.
So crazy, dude.
That gives context, but I'll let you talk a little bit about, I mean, you were 8. How much of that do you remember? And if you do remember any of it, how did that feel? Like it had to have been a whirlwind.
Oh, dude, I remember all of it. Like because I watch all the videos too afterwards. My dad always has the videos of like the recaps of the tournaments, but he also would record me just my videos and would post on YouTube when I first started competing. But yeah, I remember because I was training with Sammy, Erica Dertinger. You remember Erica?
Yeah. Of course.
And then Vinny Scarduzio was my bow guy. And I had a bunch of other kids from Erica's school that we were trained with all the time. And they came to the tournament. I saw they were all on the sidelines cheering. It was Matt was in the back with Jeremy Marinez. Carson Crawford, Jacob Pinto, Mackenzie, all of them are slapping the mat, getting me going. Tony V is over there too. I remember that. I remember Tony V there too. But yeah, everyone was freaking out because when I went and did the B-twist behind my back, they were all like, "Oh, yo, there's no way." He's like, "What is he doing right now?" And he's like, "It was the worst B-twist ever, though." But it was really fun. But yeah, I mean, I know who was the center judge of that tournament. It was Charlie Lane. And he came out to me after the night was over because Creative Forms was the next day. So I did 5 divisions that night. I won the last 2. And then he came out to me. He's like, "I've never seen you before, but you won that division because you had like really, really clean hands and your karate was really good." And I always tell my kids that now because like I didn't have the craziest form at all. Like Danny had me beat in tricks and stuff like that. But that's one thing I always tell my students is like, we're going to drill the heck out of your basics right now so that your chop punches and stuff like that looks good so that you don't have to worry about that when you add, a B-twist, swing through cork, swing through, like, whatever you want to do. That's not the concern anymore is how, can I fix my hands again? And that's something I kind of went away from a little bit that my dad's always on me for. He's like, yeah, you just, practice your hands. It takes 5 minutes. Just look in the mirror, do your stuff. It's so easy to do. And, it's something that we should all be doing every day, man. Working just your hands, working, strikes, my 4-count strikes, my 7-count strikes from Ross back in 2009 when he was first teaching me to. I do the same drills that he did. I do the same drills that you do with me. All this stuff. But yeah, getting away from everything right now. 2011 AKA Grand Nationals, I'm still going to call it because that's what it is to me. And yeah, and then I remember beating Cody, and Cody's dad came out to me. And he's like, "Man, that was awesome." And even though you just beat my son, but and then I became really, really close with all the everyone from AKA, Sensei, all those. But and then
you actually went to AKA at one point, right?
Yeah. Next year I did. But yeah, I think I lost to Sammy on stage because we still had the boys and girls overalls was combined.
Yeah.
Back at that time. So it was me versus Sammy versus Lady J.
Yeah, that's a dope name. Lady J.
And I don't know if anyone else was in forms, maybe. I don't know. Actually, no, I don't know. But
Lady J was doing traditional. It would have been, who would have won traditional that year? Oh, gosh.
For guys, right? That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah, because I was still in the division because that was 2011. I was in weapons that year.
I know.
I won the weapons overall, and then I dropped in the Warrior Cup round against Michaela.
I think Danny was doing traditional forms there. I think Danny was in that division.
Danny made stage for traditional forms?
I want to believe that. I don't. My mom's saying Jake Presley. There's no shot Jake was up there at that point.
It could have been a very young Jake Gopa show.
You think he was like younger than I was. He was like 7 on stage, really?
I mean,
I'm not trying to discredit Jake at all. I'm just trying to remember it. I'm just trying to think. I don't know if Jake, because Jake would have been like even smaller than I was at that point.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Well, because like I was good at traditional forms back then too, and I know it wasn't me. So I'm thinking like somebody would have had to have beat me, but I just don't remember who it was. But anyway, so one part of that story that I've always been interested in and I've never known the answer is you showed up to that first event on Pro Rank, right?
Yes.
How did that happen? Was that connections that you like had with Sammy beforehand? Because Sammy was on Pro Rank at the time. Like, how did you show up? Because typically, like, this is a process. Like, for people who don't know, you don't show up to a NASCAR tournament and get put on a team.
Yeah.
You have to travel the circuit and teams have to notice you and then you get put on a team, right?
Yeah.
So how did you just show up on a team? How did that story go?
The story is a little bit shady to me now that I'm trying to think about it. But I remember training with Marcel beforehand too, because I was obviously training with Marcel before I got put onto Pro Rank. That's there's no shot I was just put onto Pro Rank. But I think back in like 2010, maybe like some of those other tournaments, I was introduced to Marcel, and I think it was like I didn't even get my uniforms until I was there. I believe I don't think I like wore them and practiced with them. I could be mistaken, but or it was sent to me, like it was shipped to me. Like I didn't get this uniform like in person. I don't believe. But yeah, I think I was training with Marcel. Sammy was a part of Pro Rank at the time too. And I think Matt maybe, like, 'cause Matt was on Paul Mitchell all the time, but I was still training with Matt. I think maybe he had some kind of involving into yes, Mom, I know I got my uniform at the AKA.
I love how your mom is behind the scenes
texting. She's literally texting me. She's trying to update me right now because I'm getting part of the story wrong, but she's also getting part of the story wrong. But I think Matt and Marcel, because they were very close at the time too, so I think they have like some kind of connection to get me onto like national. That's why I started on national. I didn't just go to Pro Rank. Right. So I competed on national for the whole 2011 year, and then 2000. I competed all 2011 to then 2012. It was like just me and Carson, I believe, on the team, because it was like Mackenzie and a couple other people. I think Sammy and somebody else I'm missing.
Tyler Weaver would have still.
Tyler Weaver was on the team, but then I think he went to. No, he was still with us.
Yeah, it would have been Tyler Weaver, Donovan Sheehan. On the team.
Yeah, that was
Lawrence Collimore. Pro Rank had a squad back then.
They had a squad back in the day.
Maybe Becca Ross, who was Becca Ross Full Circle by then. She might have been Full Circle because she was on Full Circle when Drew Bisbee won the Warrior Cup.
Yes,
and I think that was 2011.
Yeah, I remember all that stuff. I remember all Full Circle. That was really cool. What was I trying to say? 2012, and then we had the half. Like I did half a year because then I think Carson was going to stop competing, and Tyler. I don't know what happened. But like we decided that Pro Rank just wasn't going to be a team anymore. I think
Tyler had like a year or two off that he wasn't competing.
Yeah, like people weren't competing. I was like going to be the only person competing, I think, on Pro Rank, which I was cool with. But I think Marcel said to like we should probably go and look for some other teams. So other people heard about that. Mr. G talked to me. and Sensei talked to me. And I believe, actually, Lauren might have called me about Change the Game at the point.
Yo, that would have been a squad, bro. If you'd been on Change the Game.
Yeah, I believe those were the three that I can remember at least.
See, what's funny about that is your story about like maybe low key almost on Change the Game is kind of funny because I also have the story of like maybe low key I was going to be on Team Imig, right?
Yes, I remember that. That was before. No, were you on pole until 2012?
I got on US Open 2012. So Imig started January of 2012, right? Yeah.
2013.
Oh, no, that's right. They started in 2013.
Year. But you went on Paul Mitchell, so we were like, oh, we can't take him now.
That's why I didn't make the jump because, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because the whole point of it is
I don't know if you can do that.
Right? So, anyway.
I don't know how – I mean, that would have been dope, but I don't know how acceptable it would have been at the time if you left Paul Mitchell to go to a new team like that. But
oh, no, there is – can you imagine Jackson Rudolph leaving Paul Mitchell? There's not even a parallel universe that happens.
That's what I'm saying. So, but yeah. And then 2012, Pro Rank ends, AKA comes out. And I go with AKA and I compete at US Open. That was my first tournament on AKA. And I killed it that year. I remember killing it at that runoff. I was awesome, but I lost. I lost both of my I dropped in weapons, which was horrible. It was at the very, very last move, and I see everyone's face in the background. Sensei, Reed, Micah, Ross, they're all like cheer me on, and then they see me do my voodoo, and I drop in the voodoo, and they're all like, oh.
Yo, your voodoo always scared me so much.
I always dropped on it, dude. I don't know why I would do it all the time.
Why did you keep doing it?
I don't know. Because I wanted to hit it. Jackson.
That's fair. And it was dope. Like you have, this is going to be potentially a controversial opinion for Bo fans. You had the prettiest voodoo of maybe anybody I ever saw.
I mean, I did.
Like it was fast and had that pop at the end of it. Ricky Morris had a nice voodoo too.
Ricky Morris.
But Ricky had like the spin under the voodoo afterwards, and I kind of like the pop you had better.
No, because I like Ricky's because it was like super smooth. Everything about him was like
it was really smooth. Yeah,
it flowed from one thing to the other, dude. Like, it was beautiful. And that's how I kind of go about my forms now. But back in like when I was first doing like competing, I still have to get a feel of like what I want my forms to look like and stuff, and how I want them to like. I don't want it to look like everybody else's forms. And if you look at my forms, you could probably think that my forms are not like everybody else's forms.
Yeah.
But when I hit my voodoo, I would just go like really quick into it and stick it. Because if I stick it and you go really, really fast and do all this stuff, and then you stick it, that's so sick. Like that just shows you have so much control of it. And I wanted to land it all the time. So I wanted to keep on doing it. But now I've figured out some other alternatives or some other variations I could do instead, or just put it earlier in the form so I don't have to worry about it at the very end of my form always.
Well, and that was something that I always respected so much about you as a bow competitor. So for those of you who don't know, I trained Aidan in bow for a long time, probably for like most of your like teenage years before like
I would say so.
And one of the things that I always loved about training Aidan, respected about him as a competitor, was unlike anybody I've ever seen, Aidan can effectively mix together releases and rolls. And if you know bow, you know this. If you know competitive bow, you know this. People are either one or the other. They're either body rollers, a la a Ross Levine, a Nate Andrade, right? Or they're releasers, like myself, right? But Aidan and your ability to do both, right? And there's a few others that could. Corey Lutkus could do both. Connor Griffith and his forms always had both, right? But the speed,
Cornelius, I love too.
The speed that you could do both at was crazy because your body rolls were fast body rolls, right? So that was one of the things that like when I would help you like with forms and everything, I was like, we've got to find a way. That's when we put like Starry Night in. Like we've got to find ways to show that you've got this diverse skill set. So I was always a huge fan of you as a weapons competitor because I was helping you out, right? But everybody else knows you both as a top weapons competitor and a top forms competitor. And so I'm interested in this question. which one did you like doing more? Which one did you feel like deep down, like, am I a forms competitor that does weapons, or am I a weapons competitor that does forms?
I wouldn't say either, honestly. I think I was equally. I don't want to sound cocky at all, but I think I was very equally competitive in both. But I would just never hit my bow forms. Like I would never hit them. Like I would always just do some crazy stuff, and I would end up dropping. I would win like one out of like 3 divisions because I dropped in the other 2. And it wasn't that like I wasn't prepared, because sometimes, you know, once I got later on, I would say that I wasn't training as hard as I did when I was like, you know, 10, 11 years old. And I'm like getting in that grind. I'm like trying to just do like really cool forms and like find some really awesome stuff to impress people. But I loved doing bow. I would say bow definitely, but it's just like I could never, like I was more successful as a forms competitor because you can't drop in that. And but I love doing weapons, man. When you hit a cool, but when you hit your bow form, and like I've had awesome bow forms that I've hit, I'm just like, I feel that if I hit my bow form, that no one else should beat me. And that's how my outlook on it, because that's how you should going into any form, 100%, right? Like
100%.
Why am I if I don't hit this form, I'm gonna accept second place? No, I want to win. So if I hit my form, I feel like I should win every time. That's how I felt. Especially towards, you know, the end, I have some really, really good ones. 2018 Ocean State, 2018 was probably my favorite bow year that I did. Compete nationals and then Quebec Open. All 3 of those tournaments, I changed it just a little bit because I lost the competes to Jake. I won Ocean State, and I just did a little bit more for Quebec. But each of those forms like progresses just a little bit, but it's so good. It's so good. I love that form, man.
By the way, that bow matchup, you versus Jake, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
It was one of my favorites ever competing, was me and Jake competing, because like, you can't. I wasn't upset to lose to Jake. I would never be upset to lose to Jake, because as long as it was me and Jake winning, like right. Just because, like, you know, I'm not gonna be upset if, you know, any of my friends win. You know, obviously I have friends on other teams, but would I be most okay with losing to would be my teammate. You know.
And that's what
I definitely feel like I should have won.
That's the Paul Mitchell mission, right?
Yeah.
Is that as long as it's black and white, winning first, second, third place, and none of us are placing below anybody else, like that's all that matters. Doesn't matter who's in what spot. Yeah. Black and white is all the top 3 spots, right? Yeah. Speaking of black and white, you're getting some more high praise in the comments. I'm gonna pull this one up.
What's up? Thank you, sir.
Kick, one of the best he's ever seen. Yes, and then, by the way, at some, because a lot of people think that you're the sportmartialarts.com logo. At any point, were you? Because I could have sworn you were at 1.2.
I thought I was too, but apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently it's Dallas. It's not me.
Is it Dallas?
God. That's what I thought. That's what I asked. I asked Emily. She could be lying to me. I don't know.
I think she is. I think it is you.
You might, because there's no, like, but this is the thing. That kick, if you look at it, it's really not that pointed. I don't want to like knock on it, but it's not the pointiest jump front kick, man.
And if it was yours, it would have had to have been the pointiest.
Mine was the pointiest. So I don't know if that was my foot up there or not, but I'll take credit for it. If no one else wants to tell me that, it's not me.
Because it is a good pop front kick.
It's a great pop front.
Even if it could have been a little bit pointier.
Yeah.
So next thing that I want to get to, we've talked about all of your solo competition, talked about forms, talked about weapons. And then, of course, I would say that you and Danny's sync form has like this cult following. Like there's people who are like massive fans of like Danny and Aidan's sync form. That's my favorite. You know what I'm saying? So
I would hope so.
Deservedly so. Like you deserve that like cult following, right? Yeah. So tell us about that experience, because there's so many people that are literally like diehard fans of the Danny and Aidan sync, and once again, deservedly so. So tell us about that whole experience and how it came to be. If you want to go all the way back to the Spazoids, you can go all the way back there.
I was probably going to do that because you can't start from like recently, like, because me and Danny have actually known each other since we were probably like, he was before my first tournament on NASCA. We've known each other. Like my karate school was doing a Good Morning America segment, and Mike Ferreira brought Danny and somebody else on set to do it also. They were both doing it. So we had to do like a round off flash kick, and I was like the only kid at my school with like a flash kick, or I think aerial maybe. And Danny did a flash kick. It was like freezing outside, but we knew each other since then. And like then we competed against each other. We've been friends, and we would room together, all this stuff. V2 at Cast with No Music was goated 100%. That's probably my favorite form of all time. 100, probably. Thank you, Mr. Jones. But yeah, we've been, our connection is probably like unmatched in sync. Like there's a lot of good sync forms, but like if you want to think about people that had like just the most fun doing it, me and Danny had the most fun. Like there's no shot. Like our training sessions were so hilarious. We would probably dance more than we trained. Like we would have music going, we'd just be bumping, but like we would get the training done first, but then there's the in between after you just finished a form, and then you just dancing for a little bit, vibing with some songs, and then you got some ideas that pop into your head. Oh, we could do this in our form right now, and then we ended up doing some stuff. Like we were just messing around. I think when we did the partner flip on the flip off my back, we were just like messing around. Like we felt that something like that should be incorporated into it, because there's not like a lot of collaboration that we saw in sync forms. Like back in the day, there was only collaboration in your sync form. Like when Steve and Rudy did it, right?
Yeah.
When they did it, we used so much of their stuff. Like our one of our intros, I don't think it's the exact same one as theirs, but it's a very similar format. We go like one at a time. So I was going here, Danny was going down. I was going here, he was going this way. Like we were doing a whole bunch of like opposite stuff, and it wasn't exactly at the same time, but like it was, it was a performance, man, and we had so much fun doing it. And that's why I wanted to do 2v2s with Danny so bad, because like we would just have fun in that too, and you don't have to throw the craziest tricks. Obviously, if you can quad cork together, that's pretty dang cool, but I can't do that. So let's do with some other stuff that we can do and make it look really, really cool. But yeah, we did sing for since it was Team Emig days. So 2013, I don't think we started 2013 because Kenzie and Tyler did that. I think we started like 2014. No, I was hurt 2014. 2015, we think we did it. Yeah, because Kenzie and Tyler both went to Paul Mitchell. So then me and Danny were the only members left on Paul Mitchell or on Team Emig. And we were wiping divisions. Like he was winning 14-17. I was winning 13 under. Like that's how
I remember that. That was a crazy year.
Like he went, I think it was Cap Classics one year. I don't know if it was 2015 or 2016. I won Forms and Weapons. Danny won Forms and Weapons. And we won the boys 17 under. Like we were on a tear at that point. So, but I loved training with him, man. And we haven't done as much stuff lately because of school and other stuff that's been going on. But yeah, if I could do some 2v2s or something like that.
That's why it's so important. Like the chemistry between the athletes always makes the best teams, right?
And that's
like
why
you and Danny have some of the best chemistry of like you said, like of any team ever when it comes to chemistry. Yeah. Like you and Danny had it. You know what I'm saying? So now, for the fun of a podcast, I'm going to ruin it, right? So if I told you all time, you get anybody ever, we'll give you one form and one weapon, right? So one form sync, one weapon sync. You got to switch up your partner. Who would you want to sync with?
Forms would be Matt.
That's the easy answer, bro.
I know it's the easy answer, but you have to realize this. You don't understand how hurt my feelings are that he did one with Danny and not me. Like he did weapon sync with Danny because I was hurt that year, I think, and there was no sync team, so Danny was the only person competing. So Matt had to come in, did sync weapons with them. But I mean, it's okay, fine. If you don't want the easy answer, Jackson. Micah.
Ooh, that would have been crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Is that better?
That's a great answer.
No, I loved Micah growing up, man. Like if you people watching right now are old enough to know me from AKA days, you know that I had a streak also with Micah. Yep. I copied his blonde streak. I copied everything, his look. I wanted to be Micah on AKA, dude, and I was on AKA. So it was really cool. Micah was the man too, man. Every time I watched his forms, so Ricky Morris for weapons, you could say, who has like that flow. Micah was the definition of flow.
Yeah.
For forms, dude. Like there is nobody cleaner, I think, and nobody no prettier tricker ever. In my mind, I think Micah is the prettiest tricker. His tricks
I
are
can
just
get behind that. I can get behind that.
Yeah. So I love Micah. Hope he's doing well. But yeah, I would say Micah for forms. And Mo, if you don't want my easy answer for weapons, it would be you, obviously. But
you're on my show. That doesn't count. Pick somebody.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Even though that would have been dope, I have, my thing is that I always wanted to beat you, Jackson. So that was my thing. Because I never competed against you really. I was a kid in 2011, right? And that's when I was winning forms and stuff.
Did we not get any adult divisions in against each other?
No.
Yeah, early 2020 we did. Or did you just drop so they don't count? Like Competes 2020, I felt like we had divisions together.
You could be right. You could be wrong. I don't know. But even that, it's not enough.
Your mom's about to be texting.
It's not like a full season. You know what I mean? Like 2011, sure. You were 13 and I was 8. And I was like, if I won a weapons division, I was like winning creative. And I wasn't like, even that, my bow stuff was not great. It was not good. Like it was very like uncool as it is now. But I would say Cole for weapons. Me and Cole actually we roomed together last month in Vegas, and we were talking about it. We were like, dude, could you imagine if we just like put something together for fun? Because we have like it's not that we have very similar styles. We do have similar styles, but just the way our minds work. Also, like when we were kids, also we were playing trick like all these. We would play trick all the time. And we would have so many different ideas just coming to our head. Like you would mess up on something, and I'd be like, "Oh, wait, let me do this, and let me add on to this." And like we would just like feed off each other. So I feel like if you put me and Nicole in a room for like max an hour, we would come up with this like, at least 2 sick forms. I'm telling you, like that's how fast I think it would work.
I love how carefully you thought about the time frame, which, by the way, this conversation, we're going places. Woody Reifowitz says, I think we should get a full season of both you guys going at it. I think statistically, there's a 0.0001 chance of that happening. But I appreciate it. I'll take it as a compliment. Right, let's see. What are we going to go to next? I think we got fun stuff coming up. What do we got?
I like it.
So we talked about kind of your journey through the teams. We've been through that already. Oh, I got a juicy one. Okay. And this is one I love to ask people this question, especially people that like haven't competed in a little while, because I think it's good to educate younger competitors, right? Biggest sport karate pet peeves. Lay it on me.
Oh God, I could have a list. Can I just say parents? Can I leave it at that?
Oh, okay. We're getting spicy here.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna elaborate too much. I'm not gonna give specifics. I'm just gonna say that if you force your child to do something that they don't want to do, that is on you and nobody else. And there's so many kids that I saw competing when I was a kid that were forced. Like they were talented, and that's why they were there, but they were not in it. They were not like, oh yeah, this is my life. It's your life because you're told this is your life, dude. Like this is not, it's one of my things that I hate the most is when people like try to force that onto you, because yeah, you're super talented, but let your kid do whatever you want with that talent. Like, yeah, it's not up to you to be like, yeah, you're going to be a NASCAR world champion. Outside of the NASCAR world, no one knows what that is. Okay. Like, yes, in this NASCAR world, it's awesome for you to be a world champion, for you to compete for all this stuff. But there are so many kids that like their lives growing up, like were not as dope as they could have been, for real. Like, because they were training more than they were like making friends. And I was so happy though that I got to like go to like regular, like I went to public school, but I also like when I have all these tournaments, man, I meet all these people from around the country, and then you go back to school and then your friends would be like, yo, I just saw that you were here. You were in Chicago last week, man. How was it? Like all this stuff. Like, it's so cool to like I don't know. And that's why like I always felt like a little bit like excluded a little bit from my home friends, because like I wasn't like teammates with them, like I didn't do as much like school sports. I ran track and like cross country in like middle school and high school. I was fast as hell, man. But
I love you, Aidan.
That's besides the point. But yeah, like I just always loved being able to have those like two different sides of it, like because you go to school and you're like a normal kid at school, like no one like thinks anything differently besides like some of the friends that people know you can do backflips and stuff like that. Oh, you're in our pep rally, you do the tricks in the pep rally and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I do. But in the NASCAR world, we're seen as celebrities, Jackson, right? Like, think about it that way. We don't want to boast about it, but we're celebrities in this world. Like, to some people, they're like, oh my God, it's Aidan Considine, it's Jackson Rudolph. Like, some people don't care, but some people do.
Crazy to think about, yeah.
Right? Like, some people don't care about it, but some people really do.
I tell people we're like Hannah Montana. It's like
literally
sometimes we're famous, sometimes we're not.
Like double life. But yeah,
that is
just,
crazy. But that's a good one, because I feel like people don't talk about that often enough. Like a lot of times when I ask the pet peeves question, people are like, "Oh, flash kicks." Everybody like
you want to go tricks and stuff like that. If you're talking about tricks and stuff, I hate that every single form is the same right now.
Yes, that's a huge problem.
I'll tell you that one.
It's a huge problem.
There's a structure that is the same, and it's been the same for like since I was competing, like since I was like started competing, but it hasn't like progressed. And if you look at some of my forms, you'll see that I kind of steer away from doing some of that traditional go across, jump front kick, corner pass, even though like, yeah, towards the end of it, you could probably say that you can probably find some of my forms that I do that. But like if you look at my weapons forms, I don't have a lot of corner passes. And if I have a corner pass, I'm coming to you.
Mm-hmm. We did that on purpose. Yep.
Yeah. Like, or I was going like in a circle. I would do a lot of circle stuff.
Yeah.
I love doing stuff in a circle because that's all control. And Matt did that all the time. Me and Danny did that in sync all the time. It's just like, it's so cool. You have full control of that. Like you're going in that circle. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, that's why a big reason why I haven't like competed, because I can put a form together in 2 seconds, but like, I'm not going to go do that for just for fun. Like I want to do it because I want to win, and I want to win everything. Like
that's the mentality you got to have.
But the next time I compete, like I'm winning everything that I compete in. That's what's going to happen. So.
And I think that's what separates the Paul Mitchell caliber competitor from those who aren't, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how long you've been out the game. Like when you step back in that ring, your mentality is that I'm better than you and there's nobody that can stop me.
This target will always be on my back, regardless. It doesn't matter even when I was competing on any other team that wasn't Paul Mitchell, even Team Emig. I think I had like I was like psyched to be on Matt's team. Like first of all, Matt Emig having a team, sick. Second of all, he was my coach, and then the team was assembled of legends, dude. Like we had a sick team, but what the heck was I just talking about?
Hey, it was great. It was motivational up until like you had it, and then you're good. You're good.
We're talking about like the structure of forms, right?
Yeah. But what I was saying before that was because a lot of people go to that type of thing when I ask about pet peeves, and I appreciate that you bring that whole parent thing to light, because I do think that there is. It's an epidemic within sport karate, especially amongst young kids, that like there are some parents who they're doing it for them instead of the kid doing it for just the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? Man. And I think that is the most important thing. Like if you're a sport karate parent watching this, the most important thing is to give your kids space to love it, right? Absolutely. It's great that you want them to win, and it's great that you're giving them the resources. But if every training session is only focused on you have to be the best, you have to win. If the kid is disciplined when a tournament doesn't go well, like that to me is like the most toxic thing ever. Like a kid should never be disciplined for losing at a tournament. A kid should never be disciplined for dropping their weapon, other than push-ups. But like
for sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
that's a real thing. Like there's a lot of people who handle it that way, where it's like if you don't do good at the tournament, or if you don't have a good training session, then you don't get to play video games or whatever. It's like, no, like, don't make it about that. Make it about the experience.
And one thing I always think about, like, and I give my parents all the credit in the world because they were the absolute best. And I think about this all the time, and I kind of regret the way that that I handled it as like this, bratty 13 to 16-year-old, that whole range. I was like, average teenage punk that would just like think that he knew better than his parents and stuff like that. But my parents were with me since I started, so they knew everything. Like, obviously we don't have the same talent level, but stuff like that. But they are spectators, right? And you're getting a spectator's point of view every time that they're telling you, oh, what I like this. Oh, looks really good in the lights. Do this. Like, they see this stuff. I don't see this stuff all the time. So I didn't appreciate it as like, as much as I do now. So Mom and Dad, I appreciate you guys for all the stuff that you did over the years for me. But yeah, like, they never gave me those negative incentives, like, oh, if you don't win, you don't get this. Like, they were only trying to like pump me up because like they knew how much I wanted to, like, how much of a process this is, man. And I'm, as an 8-year-old kid, I was in 4th grade, right? I was in 4th grade and I had to leave my 4th grade classroom to go to Chicago. Like, we had a pizza party on Fridays, dude. And I was going to a banquet for my, like, it was for my national championship award, right? Like, it's a whole different world that we live in. But the way that they handled it, they were like, they only gave me positive incentives. Like, you know what? You worked your ass off for this tournament. Sorry for my language, but you worked your butt off for this tournament. And if you win, you get a dog. And you understand how hard I worked for that tournament because I won that tournament. And guess what? I got a dog on St. Patrick's Day. And I'll remember that forever. And those are always things that they gave me like positive incentives for. Like, oh yeah, you want an Xbox? I know you don't have an Xbox. I never played Xbox as a kid because I was traveling all over the freaking world. I was playing Wii whenever I got a chance. But like, then I got to high school, I wanted an Xbox to play with my friends and stuff like that. Like, okay, you win this or you don't drop or something like that. Like, because like that was one of the things that was an incentive for me, is not to drop, because I would put the craziest stuff in my form and I would like, I trained it, but I didn't train it as much as I could have. But if you hit your form, if you match it with the music, because me and my dad would find the music together, we would match it. My form was based around my music all the time, usually. So
I remember that.
Yeah. So if I did a good form, if you matched up with the music, you do this stuff, like it's only positive incentives, So that's how you got to look at it. And if you guys are watching this and you have some, if this applies to you, please, you got to think about it for yourself, but you got to think about it for the people that you do it for also, because I do everything for my parents now. Everything I want to do, everything I want to accomplish is to give back to them. And, that's why, I haven't figured out what I want to do yet after school, because I don't know how I can make the most money and be the most successful to make their lives freaking easy. I have to figure that out first. But
cool.
I went away from that question really hard.
No, that was perfect. Shout out, man, Chris Considine. You got dope parents. You got great karate parents. Those are awesome karate parents. So absolutely send some love to them. And great advice for any, because there's a lot of parents of young kids on the circuit that watch this show. And I think that you wouldn't expect that advice to come from two competitors, right? You would expect that advice to come from when I have parents on the show. By the way, heads up, when Mother's Day and Father's Day rolls around, we're going to start doing more of that. Cool. But another thing we're going to start doing more of, and I know we're starting to run long on this show, but one thing that you guys, the audience, have been loving lately, and so we're going to keep doing it, and it's ultimately going to lead to a game night episode. But for tonight, what's up. We got another round of Sport Karate Team Roulette, Aidan Considine, and hey, we need you guys in the comments to tell us who's winning this matchup. All right. So let me go ahead and switch the banner.
Real quick. I also need some help. I'm going to need some help. I think hopefully not too much help. But if there's anyone in the comments that if I'm struggling and you can help me out, I appreciate it. I can't see the comments, I don't think, though, Jackson, right? I don't think I can see those.
If somebody's trying to help you, I'll shout them out.
Cool. Okay.
I got you. But in the comments, we need you guys to tell us who the winner is. So the way that we're going to play Sport Karate Team Roulette tonight, Aidan, we are looking for one traditional forms competitor, traditional weapons competitor, CMX forms competitor, CMX weapons competitor, and then because we talked about sync tonight, our last two spots are going to be a weapons sync and a forms sync. Keeping those separate. So we got 6 spots to fill. Okay. And then
no demo?
What's up?
No demo?
No demo. We'll do double sync. We'll do double sync, no demo. I think that makes it fair. All right. So, Aidan, since you're the guest, you get to go first. And by the way, what I was prefacing with the game night, I have a new idea for game night. So the first game night episode that we do of the podcast, I'm going to put together a series of games, and there's going to be an application process for fans of the show to play. Sammy Smith had a dope idea in the Paul Mitchell group chat earlier today, and that is we're going to do a JPM only game night where we get a bunch of players from the team on the show at the same time, and we'll do a game night with those guys. So that'll be episode 2 of game night on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I got to figure out what all games we're going to play, but y'all stay tuned for that. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And Aidan, if you do well tonight, maybe you come back for that JPM round. What do you think?
I will be there, Jackson. Okay, even if I don't do well, I would like to participate. Okay,
I got you. So your first team that you are selecting somebody from any of those divisions.
Oh gosh,
is Amerikick.
Top 10 counts, obviously, right?
Top 10 is a separate card.
That is not okay. Okay, well,
if they were ever on Amerikick, you can take them.
Okay, because okay.
This is a tough one. Amerikick had a lot of talent.
Yeah. I could go with an older name, which I like, but I think I'm going to go with someone that I competed against for a good amount of time, but I always appreciated his traditional form. I'm going to go with Mason Stowell.
Oh, that's solid. All right, so we got Mason Stowell, traditional forms. That's tough.
I was going to go with Jared.
It's tough for me to beat traditional forms.
I kind of like Mason's form a little bit better. Not to diss anybody, but I just like the way he did it.
My team. Pro rank.
Yo, if you don't pick me, you're lame.
Am I obligated to pick you since you're on the show?
You're not.
See, I could go Marcel and Kalman Sink.
I mean, that was pretty fire.
I could just go Marcel CMX.
Wait, okay. You should. I think one of these times. Just quick interruption. One of these times, I think that you might need to break it down into like musical forms and creative forms, because just separately. Because I'm telling you, obviously Marcel is the best at creative forms, but I did some pretty dang good creative forms back in the day, and my first ever overall forms win that my mom wanted me to mention earlier, but my first ever overall forms win, Ocean State either 11 or 12, I forget which year, but I won in creative forms. And that was my first ever time. It was like my first one ever was a creative forms win, and then I won like 2 more after that. I think I have the second most or third most to Marcel. Just want to point that out there. Sorry.
All right. I'm giving a shout out to my guest on the show tonight. Give me Aidan Considine, BMX forms off Pro Ring.
Wait, so are you going based off of those years that I was on Pro Rank? Because those forms are not very good.
You're going to hype yourself up and give me this whole speech like I got to pick you?
I didn't say you had to pick me. I could say you could have picked Marcel. But, I'll take myself. I like that. Nah,
I'm leaving you. It's going to be Aidan CMX forms. That's what we're going with. All right. All right, so I got Aidan Considine CMX forms. You got – who'd you get? It's been so long. Who'd you get?
Mason Stowell.
Mason Stowell, traditional forms. Your next pick, we're going to start moving a little bit quicker here. Competitive edge.
I could do the sync, but I'm not going to because I'm hoping to get myself in that later. I will go with Ben Jones, CMX Weapons.
Us. All right. Ben Jones in the chat right now, by the way. Shout out Ben Jones.
Better appreciate that one, young man.
Let's see. My team that I get to pick from. I got Aidan Considine for CMX forms. No way. I pulled competitive edge. That's insane, right?
Did you wait? You reuse them?
Yeah, I reuse them because there's like multiple players on everybody.
Gotcha.
Oh gosh, what am I going to do now? See, this also puts me in a bad spot because I coach that team. So
that is true, and now you got to pick one of them, and then everyone else's feelings are going to be hurt.
This sucks a lot. All right, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. You took a competitive edge bow guy for CMX Weapons. So I am also going to take a competitive edge bow guy who was also a student of mine for CMX weapons. And I'm going to take Esteban Tremblay.
Fire pick right there. That's a fire pick.
Yo, that CMX weapons matchup is tight.
That is tough.
That is insane.
That is tough.
And what's crazy is we get that matchup in real life right now.
I know. And that matchup comes down to who sticks their form better. That's literally it. That's the only way you can judge the two of them is whoever doesn't mess up.
Aidan's next pick. You got Mason Stowell. You got Ben Jones. You pulled a Marakick again. You get another Marakick competitor.
Wait, so I did trad forms, CMX weapons.
That's right.
I have trad weapons.
You got bolt sinks, trad weapons, CMX forms.
Oh man.
And while Aidan's thinking, I'm gonna make a quick rule change. If we pull, because we've already gotten competitive edge and Amerikick multiple times now, if we pull it again, I'll throw it out. Like, we won't pick any more players from those teams because it's like we want to mix the game up, right? So Amerikick and competitive edge no longer eligible for selection after this pick of Aidan's.
Okay.
If Aidan ever makes a pick,
I'm picking. I could go with two people here again that I like both of them a lot. But I'm probably going to take Becca Ross traditional weapons.
Ooh, that's solid. Becca Ross traditional weapons. All right. So I've got you for CMX forms. I've got Esteban for CMX weapons. I haven't done anything else. Oh, we gotta speed this game.
I'm sorry, Jackson. I
need my trads and I need my sync team. And I got pro rank. There's another double pick. Pro rank. Okay, this is but I could take Scott Wu. But Scott Wu's not beating Mason Stowell.
Whoa. Scott
That could be controversial. That could be a controversial take.
That's controversial. I mean, I'm gonna stick with my guy, but I loved
Scott Wu. I love Scott Wu too. I could do that, but then I'm also like low key. Like, do I pass up the opportunity to take Kalman and Marcel again? Like, I'm taking Kalman and Marcel sync forms. That's what I'm taking.
I don't think you can't pass that up. You can't pass that up there.
I'm happy with that. I can live with that.
I like that.
Live with that. All right, Aidan, your next pick. What do we got?
Team Emic.
Change the game.
Whoa. Change the dang game. Wait, so this is my thing, though. Most of the people that are on this team are weapons experts.
And you've got a CMX forms hole, and then you need both syncs.
Yeah. Did anyone on Change the Game do sync? No.
Well, I mean, there was Kyle and I.
Well, did you do that on Change the Game, or did you do that on Paul Mitchell?
Did we ever do it on Change the Game?
That's what I'm trying to think.
We had to have. Maybe we didn't.
I don't know.
I think that was. Yeah, that was only Paul Mitchell. We didn't do it on Change the Game.
CMX forms, change the game.
You've put yourself in a pickle.
I've put myself into quite the dilemma. I'm not trying to do it based off like ruling people out, but you didn't do it. Connor Griffith didn't do it. I'll take Michaela Johnson, I guess.
Michaela did CMX.
Michaela Johnson. And then there was Casey Welch, but I think I would go Michaela Johnson.
So Aidan's going Michaela Johnson CMX forms. That's solid.
I would have loved her in CMX weapons, man. I really
that would have been tight. That would have been tight.
But she hit a pretty dang good creative form over there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So I've got Aidan for CMX forms. I've got Esteban for CMX weapons. I've got Marcel and Kalman for sync forms. I need my trads and I need a sync weapons. This is money right here. Infinity.
Whoa.
Traditional forms and weapons and sync weapons. Traditional forms and weapons.
This is where demo would come in perfectly.
Traditional forms. Yeah, demo would have been perfect here. They've had a lot of traditional forms talent come through.
Yeah. Did MW do it?
Not traditional forms. I could go Welch and Spridco weapons though. That'd be kind of fun. Would that be a Screama? I'm a holdout though. I'm gonna give them respect, but I'm a holdout.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Man, you got Mason Stoll on traditional forms.
That's a tough one.
I mean, the best I can do is I think I'm gonna go with who's out there against him right now, which would be Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Diego Rodriguez Flores. Let's go for it.
I like that.
All right. This is solid. All right. Aidan, your next pick is from Team NMAC. Canada represent.
Team NMAC. Okay.
Team NMAC.
So what do I have left? Just the sinks?
Yeah, you've got both your sinks left. That's it.
Now here's the question. Who did sink over there?
Well, you take this one's easy. You take Anthony and Gabrielle.
Okay, I just forgot. I didn't know if they competed together sometimes. I forgot that they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an easy one.
So I don't have a wait. Yeah, I don't have a weapon sync yet. So I need a weapon sync to match up with Anthony and Gabrielle, and then I also need a traditional weapons to match up with Becca Ross. The team that I am picking from is that's competitive edge. We already agreed that we're not going to do any more competitive edge picks. So we're gonna grab another one. Oh, this is a big one. What is this one? Why is it such a big card? Who is this?
What are you doing?
AKA.
Wow.
AKA. Oh, and I don't have sync forms anymore. Traditional weapons. AKA. Or sync weapons. Who do you have for sync weapons? Oh, I'm taking Reed and Cole Presley. Out of here. Sync weapons. Give me Reed and Cole Presley right now.
I was hoping you would think more the traditional route and you wouldn't do that, but you did that.
Give me Reed and Cole.
All right. I heard it. Good. It's a great pick.
All right. This is your last pick, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Please give me Team Emig.
Aidan's last pick. It's in the hat. Aidan's last pick. 100% performance.
Whoa.
That's a good one.
That's a great one. Well, it's my only default would be the wait, no. Yeah, so Danny and Kenzie, right?
Yeah, because you need sync forms, right? Yeah, you need sync forms. So you get Danny and Kenzie.
All right. I'll take that.
That's solid.
Not me and Danny, but it's pretty valid.
I mean, there were others too. There's also Vinny and Jess.
That
was
a good
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, they were solid.
I was trying to think if Tyree did any sync, but I don't think he just did demo, I believe.
Tyree Brown's such a throwback. I loved Tyree Brown.
Right? I was watching the video. I was watching the video earlier from you and Sammy's, and I think she picked Danny's forms. I think I would maybe taken Tyree back at the time.
I need a traditional weapons competitor right here. I need a traditional weapons competitor. Did we veto Amerikick too? Yeah. We said no more competitive edge, no more Amerikick. That would have been pretty good too. Could have had me a Derek Negan.
That's who I was looking at. That was my other guy. But I wanted to go give respect to Becca.
Give me JPM. Straight up.
Whoa.
Traditional weapons. Straight up traditional weapons to go against Becca Ross. What do I want here? I want to make sure I don't forget anybody because straight up's had a lot of dogs.
I know, man. And I feel like
my go-to for straight up traditional is Ryan Wells.
Yes.
But Ryan Wells actually, because Becca was good as a junior. So it'd be like a juniors matchup, like 13-year-old Becca Ross against like 11-year-old Ryan Wells.
Which is probably what they did back in the day too.
Low key, yeah. That probably happened. All right, I'll take Ryan Wells. I'll take Ryan Wells traditional weapons.
That's solid.
That's solid. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody on straight up though. Oh well. We're going to roll with it. All right, so my team, and this is what everybody in the comments gets to debate right here at the end of the episode. My team, CMX Forms, Aidan Considine. CMX Weapons, Esteban Tremblay. Traditional Weapons, who did I just take? Ryan Wells. Traditional Forms, I wound up taking Diego Rodriguez Flores. And then Sync is where I hold it down.
Yeah, you got me in Sync.
I got Marcel and Kalman. And I got Reed and Cole Presley doing weapons.
Yeah, you got me in sync, I think. Do I have to recite mine now?
Yeah. Recite yours so that everybody knows where the comparison is.
So I'll just go with, I think, the order that I went. I took Mason Stillwell for my traditional forms. I took Ben Jones for my CMX weapons. I took Becca Ross for my traditional weapons. I took Who did I take for? Michaela Johnson, CMX Forms.
And then your
Anthony Demores and Gabrielle for weapons, sync weapons, and then I take Kenzie and Danny for forms sync.
That was a good round. That's a good, closely contested round.
I think it's gonna be. Well, I don't know. We can tie.
We could tie because it's 6.
I don't know if we.
You know what? For fun, just in case there's a tiebreaker, let's both do one more pick. Take any division you want. A single competitor up against another single competitor doing whatever you want.
But do we have to pick the division? Do we have to set the division then?
Yeah. You pick the division for any competitor, right? So any competitor, any division, and I'll go first. I'll give you the advantage. So I'm going to pick first, and then you get to make a pick that matches up to that. Then we're going to close out the show. This is a first in Sport Karate Team Roulette right here. So I'm going to take one. I'm going to come up with any competitor, any division, and you can have any competitor, any division to try to beat that. And I got right here in my hand, I pulled straight up again. So for straight up again, I'm going to take I'm going to go specific division.
Okay.
Give me Kim Do musical forms.
I was hoping you would do a musical forms. Thank you.
Give me Kim Do musical forms.
That's a dope form. I have so many Kim Do references in some of my forms. Oh, that's good.
You need somebody to take on Kim Do's musical form.
Oh, baby. Baby. Please.
And it's coming from this team right here.
Right here, please.
It's coming from
Paul Mitchell.
Team KTOC/Impex.
They're fighters.
But they got forms. Bro. So Impex, you can take Ross Levine's bow form. You can
No, but I thought you said they have to match your
No. This is like grand championship format for the tiebreaker.
Oh, so I can pick whatever I want?
Yeah, anything.
In their specific so it could be different divisions?
Yeah, it's like a local tournament overall grands format.
I thought you meant I had to pick someone that was in the same traditional, like same as musical forms.
No, I would pick somebody that doesn't advantage. That's too hard.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, in my eyes, those are the two big ones with KTOC Impex. You go Impex Ross's bow form.
Yep.
Or you go K-Tox Joey Castro traditional form.
Yep.
I think those you got to pick one of those moves.
Yep. I'm gonna go Ross Levine.
That's actually a really good matchup. A Ross Levine creative bow form against a
Ross's
Kim
creative
Do.
bow is gross. That's why I did the voodoo so much. And I have so many rolls in my form. It's because of Ross. Like Ross did that with me when I was like 7.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, people don't give Ross enough respect for like being one of the godfathers of body rolls. Him and Nate Andre, man.
100%. That's why I learned how to do my voodoo from Nate Andre. I think I did like the shoulder neck rolls and the this one that Ross did.
Nate Andre himself taught me how to do the fantail razor.
Yeah, bro. They were dogs.
I told that story on the podcast a couple episodes ago, I think.
They're dogs.
But anyway. So Aidan, thank you so much for taking this on short notice, my man. Aidan is literally doing this show on like 3 hours notice, people. This is insane. So Aidan coming in, saving the day. We got some really exciting guests coming up for you guys. We got a certain Hollywood stuntman who I'm not going to announce yet because we're trying to get some scheduled things figured out. The name was mentioned in the podcast tonight, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I'm trying to make Reed, Cole Presley. I'm trying to get them on the podcast. We've seen Jake a few times. We saw Reed once for a film study episode. We need to get more Presleys on the podcast. Avery Presley's been on the podcast when the new Paul Mitchell players got added. So we're going to get some Presley love on there. We got to get Danny back. So, I mean, we got some big shows.
Paul Mitchell one, too. I want that Paul Mitchell game night for sure.
Paul Mitchell game night. We got to make that happen. So lots of fun stuff coming up. And again, when it comes to guests and show ideas, I do what you guys ask me to in the comments. So drop that down below. Thank you to everybody showing comments in the love right now. See, somebody requesting get Dawson Holt on. Dawson Holt, you've been called out, my man. We might need to get you on the show. But anyway, Aidan, thank you again so much. Thank you to everybody tuning in, and thank you to Black Belt Magazine and Century Martial Arts for making the Jackson Rudolph podcast possible. Aidan, any last words before we get out of here, my man?
Just a great talking to you, my man. Miss you, man. Hope everything goes well. Hopefully, while we're down here in Maryland, me and Jackson are both in Maryland, by the way, guys. So if you guys in the Maryland area ever want to hang out with us, let me know.
Okay, you have a car? I should have just had you come over.
I don't have a car, Jackson. That's one thing I don't have. So I'm gonna need some transportation to get to you,
right.
Which is the only issue.
You got a car.
Yeah,
I'll come pick you up.
All right,
we'll do something fun. Anyway, miss you too, man. Love you, brother. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in tonight. Once again, this has been the Jackson Rudolph Podcast, episode 113. I'm Jackson Rudolph, and I'm
Aidan Considine.
Good night, guys.